Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. I am James. I'm joined by the other two cricket nerds. Benji, how are you doing?
I'm annoyed about Kara Hall, I'll be honest. I dropped him this week and he goes and scores a century. What's that about?
I think he's on my bench as well. And Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. The pants are red. The shirt is blue. Golden line shining through.
That is pathetic.
That is the worst song I've ever heard.
Best song
right.
in the world.
So today we had a double header. So first game was Lucknow Supergiants versus the Mumbai Indians. And the second one was RCB versus Delhi Capitals. So jumping into the first game, Benji, what did you think of the Lucknow Supergiants batting?
Well, as you probably heard, Kara Hall got his 100, which is always a Kara Hall staple. Kara Hall will always, at some point in the season, get 100 for a team, and then that team will finish fifth. It's just the unwritten laws of the IPL. So I'm sorry, Lucknow, you're now going to finish fifth. There's no other thing about it. But yeah, he looked imperious. I mean, I didn't actually get to watch the game because through the whole of that innings, I was playing cricket. My innings wasn't quite as good as Kara Hall's today. But I think Lucknow just looked quite good. From the scorecard, all of their batters chipped in and they put up a decent score of 199 for 4. Quince de Kock, Manesh Pandey and Deepak Hooda all chipped in a little bit. Marcus Stoinis was probably the most uncertain. But yeah, it was definitely the Kara Hall show. 103 off 60, the proper sort of like captain's innings that he's needed to do for a while. And it would happen the week that I drop him from my fantasy team. So
he's on my bench.
That's pretty sad, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, they looked pretty good. Look now. The same can't really be said for all of Mumbai's bowlers, particularly Tamal Mills. Zach, what did you make of sort of the Mumbai bowling?
Well, they definitely targeted Mills, didn't they? To go for 54 off 3 overs wasn't great. But I think what we have learned from the Mumbai Indians is they don't just watch our videos in terms of playing spin in the power play, because they had Tilak Varma bowl the first over, but they also read the comments about people wanting Fabian Allen to get a game, and he's finally got a game. And to be honest, he's been pretty average, but he got a wicket, right? He got the wicket of Quinton de Kock, which is always a big one. But he was also targeted a bit, going at 11.5 and over. But the other bowlers, Anadkat, Murugan Ashwin and Jasprit Bumrah all bowled fairly well. I think what we've seen with Mumbai in the past is that they've had some really good bowlers, whereas this time their bowling lineup isn't quite where it has been, which means that teams can afford to just play out Jasprit Bumrah. And like you've seen today, didn't get a single wicket. And James, I think you said it at the start of the tournament, you don't think he'll be top wicket taker because he hasn't got the same class around him. And that's definitely seen. But I think it will give them a lot of confidence knowing that Anadkat is starting to step up and perform really well. He only bowled 1 wide. He took 2 wickets, only went for 32 runs, which is exactly what you want from your Indian fast bowlers. So some good things there. But again, Tamal Mills just got carted around a bit and his inconsistency is showing again. And then Mumbai just didn't have enough to finish it off. James, what did you think about their batting?
Yeah. Again, a pretty dodgy start from the openers. Rohit Sharma going very cheaply, only for 6. Ishan Kishan also 13 off 17 is not what you want from your top 2. DeWalt Brevis is still amazing. He is he's made himself a bit of a superstar, hasn't he? Just in the space of 3-4 games. I think every team wants DeWalt Brevis now. So yeah, he looked good, 31 off 13. And then Surya Kumar Yadav was, looking okay. He's been doing a really good job, actually. It's a bit of a shame that the rest of the Mumbai batsmen, other than DeWalt Brevis, haven't really supported him because he's had to play that sort of anchor role. Obviously, he's an anchor in the way that Suryakumar Yadav's an anchor, in that he never really bats under a strike rate of 130, even when he's taking it easy. And then, it was just very sort of average from the rest of them. Tilak Varma, 26 at a runner ball. Kyron Pollard started slashing it about a bit, but he just couldn't get them over the line in the end. Fabian Allen only got 8. He does not have a great record of batting in the IPL. I think he's still got a strike rate of under 100 in the IPL, which is rubbish. He bats at like 10 for the West Indies, which I know doesn't say a lot because the West Indies usually bat down to their 12th man. He should be doing better, really. Anadkat, when did he become a bowling all-rounder? Because he genuinely has looked pretty good the last couple of games. But then other than that, the tail did exactly what you'd expect them to do, which was nothing. But some pretty tight bowling from Lucknow. So I'd like to get your opinion on the Lucknow bowling bench.
Yeah, I mean, Holder looked good, didn't he, again? 3 wickets for Avesh Khan, not really good. Ravi Bishnoi got a bit more tap than he'd probably have liked, but still managed to pick up that wicket. And it's nice that they've now, in Lucknow, got Marcus Stoinis to sort of be a bit of that fifth bowler. So now you've got Deepak Hooda, you've got Marcus Stoinis, you've got Krunal Pandey, who can fill in that fifth bowler role. I thought they went after Chimera quite a lot, especially in sort of those power play overs. And his economy was, a lot higher than he would have wanted it to be. He got hit for 4 sixes, which is just never nice in a 4-over spell to go for 4 sixes. I think, again, the level of control probably through the middle overs probably wasn't quite there, as we've seen previously. But yeah, all in all, decent performance, wicket shared, and being able to limit Mumbai to 181 for 9, I think was quite good. But I mean, the game that we're really talking about, isn't it, is this RCB game. So let's quickly wrap up with some heroes and villains of this before we move on to RCB. So for me, my heroes are Suryakumar Yadav and Devalt Brevis. I think they put up a good show. Obviously, KL Rahul's a hero. That goes without saying. But Devalt Brevis and Suryakumar Yadav sort of putting a little fight on to try to win that game. What about you two?
My hero is going to be Avesh Khan for bowling really well throughout the whole innings, really. I think he proved himself as being a great bowler last season when he was one of the highest wicket takers. And he's kind of been under the radar a bit this season, but I think this game just proved how exciting a talent he is. And in terms of villains, I would say it has to be Tim Mills. 18 runs and over isn't good enough, is it? James?
I'm going to say my hero, other than KL Rahul, is actually going to be Jaydev Unadkat. I've actually been pretty impressed with him the last few games. He's turning into a bit of a useful player, which, in the past seasons, you certainly wouldn't have said that. Unadkat is my hero. And my villain is Fabian Allen, because he just manages to be useless very consistently. So, it's not good enough from an overseas. He's a gun fielder, but his bowling is poor and his batting is poor. So in that respect, he is an all-rounder.
Right.
Moving on to the reason that Zach's so happy. And
RCB.
Yeah, let's make Zach not as happy at first. Zach, talk us through the batting innings of RCB, especially the top 3.
Especially the top 3. Well, as we've said, KL Rahul is kind of evaded all our fancy teams this week. I did the thing of saying, well, Royal Challengers have 2 games in this game weeks, whereas KL Rahul only has 1. So I'll get rid of KL Rahul and replace him with Anand Rawat, who went out for a first baller. So that was good. So he's a bit of a fantasy flop there. And Duplessis and Kohli, there's something going on there. Kohli he's got a run out problem where he just wants those singles and keeps getting turned down, and then he turns around and he's out just by a little bit each time. So he needs to sort that out because he's been batting really well. And the fact that he's running himself out, he's not doing himself any of the favours. And Duplessis had a really good first innings in the tournament, and now he just keeps chipping the ball out to the deep and getting caught, which isn't good enough either. But I think the fact that our struggle is with our best two batsmen is actually quite good, because the rest of our team is performing quite well. The other facets of our game is doing all right. So, and I'm pretty sure that they will return to form at some point in this tournament. So the fact that they're struggling right now, if they come good later on in the tournament, that's great, because it will just make our already pretty strong looking team even stronger. But yeah, when you get into the middle order, that's where our players are doing really well. Maxwell and Shabazz, they are so good against spin in the middle overs. Like Maxwell especially today was attacked Kuldeep Yadav, taking him for 23 in his first over. And that was great to see. He's just so fun to watch. I love watching Maxwell bat. I didn't used to when he was playing for a different team, but when he's on your team, it's so good to watch. He completely takes apart the bowling. And I was quite sad when he went out, because I was like, it's a bit too early for Kartik to come in. But Dinesh Kartik, what a man. What a performer. He said after the game that he still wants to play for India. He wants to get back into that team, and I don't see why he wouldn't. And also a little fact for you. He was dropped on 5, and Cricinfo do like a luck index, which is like how many runs you'd score your team would have extra if that drop hadn't happened. So if he'd been caught, and him staying in added 26 runs to Royal Challengers innings. So they would have probably finished around 160 if Kartik hadn't stayed in. So yeah, overall, awesome batting from Dinesh Kartik and Shahbaz Ahmed really to finish off that innings. So I was pretty happy at the halfway stage. What do we think of their bowling? James, what did you think of Delhi Capital's bowling?
Well, I thought it was not that great. I think they started off well, obviously. Getting out two of RCB's best players is, not easy, but they made it look very easy. So yeah, Shardul Thakur bowled really well actually, especially his first over, getting Anuj Rawat out, plum LBW. Yeah, but then he was definitely the best, closely followed by Akshar Patel, who also, looked very tidy. The fizz was kind of where they lost it there. He just wasn't tight enough. He wasn't bowling the right lines, wasn't bowling the right lengths, and he got a bit of tap for it. Same with Khalil Ahmed. Oh goodness me, I can't speak. Khalil Ahmed, and then Kuldeep Yadav obviously was a victim of just brutality by Glenn Maxwell. It was a bit cruel. I thought it was bullying, but then he came back really strong in his next 3 overs. But yeah, it just their attack just didn't work out. It wasn't tight enough, and I think they really could have used. They could have done with having a 6th bowler just to, break up the innings a bit, break up the flow. I think they needed it. And I think really what DC need is, I don't know, an Anrik Nortje in form. That's what they're kind of desperate for.
I think what you saw from this pitch it's the Wankhede Stadium, pace is what works there. That's what does well at Wankhede. Excuse me. And we saw that with Josh Hazlewood, Mohammed Siraj, and, Shardul Thakur, and the Fizz, who has a bit less pace, is getting a bit more tap because they can treat him like a spinner. Whereas, when you've got the pace of Shardul Thakur, the pace of Khalil Ahmed, that's, what sort of takes those wickets at the Wankhede. And I think Josh Hazlewood was the standout for the RCB bowlers. But let's talk a bit about the Delhi batters before we go on to the RCB bowling. I think Delhi put up a really good fight, actually. And it took a really good ball from Hasaranga to remove David Warner, who looked like he was going to win the game for them. I think Prithvi Shaw didn't quite fire as he has been doing at the start of that innings, but Warner picked up that slack. Mitch Marsh didn't look fantastic, but he's just getting back into fitness and back into form, so that's understandable. Rishabh Pant, 34 off 17, striking at 200, doing his best again to win the game until he gets himself out, which is a classic Rishabh Pant move. Rovman Powell needs dropping. There's no other way about it. He needs to go. He's done nothing all tournament. Give somebody else a go. Lali Yadav, again, he's won a game for them in the past, and he's a good sort of part-timer, but he's very hot. He's all in or all out. And then, just not quite enough from that lower order to get them across the line. But I think aside from sort of the Harsh Patel and Hasaranga, the bowling from RCB was quite tidy and didn't actually allow the Delhi batters to really strike at the pace that they want to. Zach, what did you sort of think about the RCB bowling attack?
I really enjoyed watching Royal Challengers Bowl, which I haven't done so much this tournament. I do think Delhi Capitals are missing a match winner in their middle order. I think what they wanted Rovman Powell to be, he's not been. So I think you're right. They need to change it around. They need to see who else can fit that role. But yeah, Royal Challengers bowling, they started with spin, which they haven't done much, with Glenn Maxwell bowling a couple overs. But Mohammad Siraj is finally starting to bowl sensibly, I thought, today. He was a lot calmer. It might be the fact, like you've said, Benj, bowling at the Wankhede Stadium, it might really suit him more. And yeah, he bowled very well, going at less than 8 and over, taking 2 wickets, exactly one. And Josh Hazlewood, he is just metronomic. He just hits the same line and then every time. And his wicket of Rovman Powell was a brilliant ball, test match wicket, really. And Harshal Patel, I know his figures don't look great. He didn't get any wickets, went at 10 and over, but his bowling at the death is so clever. Like he's got no emotion on his face. So he's very calm. He knows what he's doing. And also he goes for a few wides at the death, but it's really good because he bowls that line to the right-hander that's just wide of off stump. So it could be a wide, but the price he pays is, let's say he goes for a wide, the next ball will either be chipped for a 1 or he gets a wicket. So rather than going for 6 runs off one ball, he's gone for 3 runs off one ball and maybe taken a wicket. So it's the payoff is better. So yeah, it's great to watch. And Hasaranga de Silva, I don't think he bowled that well, but getting the wicket of David Warner, that's exactly what we wanted. And so yeah, I'm proud of my boys. Very happy. Heroes and villains then. James, go for it.
Ooh, there are a lot of villains actually to choose from. But I'm going to steal the very easy hero. My hero is Dinesh Karthik. I thought he was absolutely amazing. And my villain, I've got 2. I'm going to go for Mitch Marsh because he lost them the game. He chewed up so many deliveries, looked utterly awful. If they hadn't had Mitch Marsh, it would have been a relatively comfortable victory, actually. And then my other one is Rovman Powell. And Rovman is giving them a bit of a headache, I think, because they're really going to kind of struggle to replace him. I think they've got a couple of options. They could get Tim Seifert back in, stick him in the middle order and hope for the best. Or they could put in KS Barrett, which I think would probably be a better shout. He's not good enough at the moment. He's just completely out of form. Zach, who are your heroes and villains?
Villains-wise, Mustafiza Rahman. He's been good all tournament. He just didn't deliver today. And in terms of hero, obviously, Glenn Maxwell and Dinesh Karthik were great today. But I think the big hero has to go to the Dew factor, which has gone missing for the last few games. There's been no Dew in the second innings, which has meant the bowling at the death has been nice and simple. So yeah, well done to the Jew for not being there. Benj.
Yeah, no, Glenn Maxwell and Dinesh Karthik, you took my out of the box heroes and villains there, Zach. Actually, my villain is the RCB top 3 because they did their best to lose the game again. Just really trying. Oh, obviously, also Rodman Powell for the reasons I've said, and David Warner because he's David Warner. For no other reason.
Always a villain.
Always a villain. He is just the villain of every game. So yeah, that's what I've got. Sign us off, James.
Yeah, I think that's more than enough waffle for one day. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe and like. We are flying through. We're rising. We're soaring like eagles towards our 300 subscriber goal, which we want to achieve in about a week at this rate. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod. Don't forget to listen to our podcast. That also is an option. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the list goes on. Other than that, we will see you guys later. Goodbye.